The curved viewports of Alpha Prime Station offered a breathtaking panorama of stars, each one representing a member world of the Galactic Council. Ambassador Zira drifted slowly across the observation deck, their ray-like form undulating gently in the artificial gravity. 3 centuries had passed since the Council had welcomed a new species, and now humanity's delegation was approaching. "Readings are coming in, Ambassador," said Intelligence Officer Riles, their multifaceted eyes reflecting the data streams scrolling across the holographic display. "The Earth vessel will dock within the hour." Zira's gill slits fluttered in what those familiar with their species recognized as a sign of anticipation. "Excellent. After 70 years of long-range communications, we finally meet our neighbors in person." The year 3785 marked a significant milestone for interstellar relations. Earth had developed faster than light travel only a century prior, a remarkably swift technological evolution that had raised both interest and concern among Council members. "I've compiled the preliminary scans," Riles continued, manipulating the display to enlarge the approaching vessel. "It's unusual." Zira moved closer, their bioluminescent patterns pulsing with curiosity. The diplomatic envoy from Earth appeared on screen, and Zira's patterns shifted abruptly to a warning red. "That's not a diplomatic vessel," Riles said unnecessarily. "That's a warship." The data scrolled beside the image. 1.8 kilometers in length, 52 weapon systems, multi-layered energy shielding, crew complement of 4,500. "They've named it the Retribution," Riles added. Zira's outer membrane rippled with concern. "Call an emergency session of the Council, now." The circular Council chamber filled quickly, representatives from 18 different species taking their positions around the central platform. The massive screen above displayed the approaching Earth vessel, now close enough to see with clarity. Its dark hull absorbed starlight rather than reflecting it, making it appear as a ship-shaped void against the cosmos. "This is unprecedented," declared Councillor Teff, their tree-like appendages waving agitatedly. "No species has ever arrived for first contact in a dreadnought." "Perhaps it's merely cultural misunderstanding," suggested Councillor Mbasso, whose crystalline form scattered light across the chamber. "Humans may not differentiate between military and diplomatic vessels as we do." "Or perhaps," interjected Councillor Vrix, mandibles clicking, "they are making a statement about their intentions." Zira moved to the center of the chamber, commanding attention. "Regardless of interpretation, we have a duty to welcome them according to protocol. The vessel has made no aggressive moves, and our long-range communications suggest humans value peaceful relations." "Peaceful relations backed by overwhelming firepower," muttered Vrix. "We will proceed with caution," Zira announced. "But we will proceed." The docking procedure was executed with precision. The Retribution's massive form settled into the specialized berth, dwarfing the station's other vessels. A delegation of Council security personnel, led by Riles, awaited at the airlock. The massive doors cycled open, revealing a group of 5 humans in uniform. At their head stood a tall figure with close-cropped gray hair and eyes that seemed to evaluate everything they saw. "Captain Alex Mercer of the Earth diplomatic vessel Retribution," the human announced. "On behalf of the United Earth Government, I bring greetings to the Galactic Council." Riles stepped forward. "Intelligence Officer Riles, Ambassador Zira awaits you in the Council chamber." Mercer nodded, introducing his team. "Lieutenant Maran Guyen, our combat engineer. Commander Rafael Ortiz, tactical operations. Dr. Elena Cruz, combat medic. And Lieutenant Commander Sanjay Patel, communications specialist." Riles' antennae twitched at the military designations, but maintained protocol. "This way, please." As they walked through the station's sweeping corridors, Mercer observed the architecture with appreciation. "Impressive construction. How long has Alpha Prime been operational?" The station has served as the Council's primary diplomatic hub for 873 standard years. Riles replied. It has witnessed 42 species joining the galactic community. And how many leaving? Mercer asked casually. Riles paused mid-step. None have chosen to depart the Council once joined. Interesting, Mercer said, resuming their walk. Very interesting indeed. The Council chamber fell silent as the human delegation entered. Captain Mercer strode confidently to the center platform, his officers forming a precise semicircle behind him. Ambassador Zira drifted forward to meet them. Captain Mercer, welcome to Alpha Prime. I am Ambassador Zira, current facilitator of the Galactic Council. We extend greetings on behalf of all member species. Mercer bowed slightly. Ambassador, the people of Earth are honored to stand among the stars at last. We look forward to productive relations with all Council members. Before we proceed, Zira said, their voice carrying throughout the chamber. There is a matter that requires clarification. Your vessel. The Retribution, Mercer supplied. Yes, our scans indicate it is a warship of considerable capacity. Council protocol typically expects diplomatic missions to arrive in unarmed vessels. Mercer's expression remained pleasant, but his eyes hardened slightly. Ambassador, this is Earth's diplomatic vessel. A battleship with enough firepower to devastate a small moon, Councillor Vrix interjected. The Retribution is what we consider appropriate for diplomatic missions. Mercer replied evenly. Earth believes that honesty about capabilities is the foundation of trust. Murmurs rippled through the Council chamber. Zira's bioluminescence flickered rapidly, a sign they were processing this unexpected approach. Captain Mercer, Zira finally said, your perspective is unconventional by Council standards. However, we respect cultural differences and will proceed with the diplomatic exchange as planned. Tomorrow, we have arranged a cultural introduction session where all delegations share aspects of their civilization. We look forward to learning more about humanity. Mercer smiled. We look forward to it as well. The cultural exchange hall had been transformed, with areas dedicated to each Council species. Art, music, culinary samples, and historical artifacts created a tapestry of galactic diversity. The Earth delegation had been allocated a prominent space near the center. Councillor Mbasso drifted toward Zira, crystalline surfaces catching the light. What do you suppose humans will share? Art, literature, their philosophical achievements? Zira's gill slits fluttered. Given their arrival, I'm uncertain, but I remain hopeful. When the time came for Earth's presentation, Captain Mercer stepped onto the central platform. Distinguished representatives of the Galactic Council, Earth is honored to share aspects of our culture, rather than static displays. We've prepared a demonstration. He nodded to his officers, who moved to an open area of the hall. Lieutenant Nguyen and Commander Ortiz took positions facing each other, while Dr. Cruz stood to one side with a medical kit. On Earth, many of our cultural practices integrate what you might consider military elements, Mercer explained. We don't separate our defensive capabilities from our civilian life. They're interwoven. At a signal from Mercer, Nguyen and Ortiz began a coordinated series of movements. It resembled a dance at first, but quickly evolved into something more martial, a combat drill executed with precision and grace. Their movements flowed seamlessly, demonstrating both offensive techniques and defensive counters. This is a traditional training sequence developed for space-based operations, Mercer narrated. Note how each movement conserves energy while maximizing effectiveness. The Council representatives watched with varying degrees of fascination and alarm. When the demonstration concluded, Mercer invited Dr. Cruz forward. Medical science is another area where Earth has developed unique approaches, he continued. Dr. Cruz will demonstrate field treatment techniques designed for combat situations, but applicable in any emergency. Crews proceeded to demonstrate rapid medical interventions on a simulation dummy, explaining each procedure. This technique can stabilize neural trauma within 30 seconds, preserving brain function until more comprehensive treatment is available. The final part of the presentation featured Lieutenant Nguyen explaining the dual-purpose technology incorporated into their equipment. "This communication device," she said, holding up a small object, "also functions as a short-range defensive shield generator. By reconfiguring the power matrix, it can provide 15 seconds of protection, enough time to reach safety during an emergency." When the demonstration concluded, the council chamber remained silent for several moments. Zira moved forward. "Thank you, Captain Mercer, for this illuminating presentation. It appears that Earth integrates defensive capabilities into many aspects of your culture." "Not defensive, Ambassador," Mercer corrected politely. "Combat ready. There's an important distinction. Defense is reactive. Earth believes in being proactive." "You speak as if constant preparation for warfare is normal," Counselor Vrick said, mandibles clicking agitatedly. "From our perspective, it is," Mercer replied. "Earth's history taught us that peace is maintained through strength and readiness. We don't want war. We prepare for it precisely so we can avoid it." The following days saw increasing tension among council members. Several called for Earth's immediate expulsion, citing security concerns. Others advocated for a more measured approach, arguing that humanity's unique perspective might eventually align with council values. Zira found themselves mediating heated debates while struggling with their own misgivings. After a particularly contentious session, they encountered Captain Mercer in one of the station's arboretums. "Ambassador," Mercer greeted them, "I understand our presence has created some difficulties for you." Zira's bioluminescence pulsed slowly. "Your approach challenges fundamental council principles. Captain, many species here evolved beyond warfare millennia ago. Or perhaps they just forgot its necessity," Mercer suggested. "Peace isn't a natural state, Ambassador. It's maintained through effort and, sometimes, force." "You believe peace comes through strength of arms?" "I believe peace comes through the knowledge that aggression will be met with overwhelming response," Mercer corrected. "Deterrence isn't about violence. It's about preventing violence through certainty of consequences." Zira was formulating a response when the station's alarm system activated. Red lights pulsed throughout the arboretum as an automated voice announced, "Warning, unauthorized vessels entering Alpha Prime space. Warning." Mercer's hand went to his communication device immediately. "Mercer to Retribution. Status report." "Captain," came the response. "We're tracking 18 vessels approaching from the outer rim. Configuration matches hegemony signatures. They're not responding to hails." Zira's bioluminescence flared with alarm. "The hegemony? They've been in isolation for decades, refusing all diplomatic contact." "Not anymore, it seems," Mercer said grimly. "Ambassador, what defensive capabilities does this station have?" "Minimal," Zira admitted. "The Council maintains peace through diplomacy, not weaponry. We have basic shields and a small security force." Mercer's expression hardened. "Get to the Council chamber. I need to return to my ship." The Council chamber had descended into chaos. Representatives argued vociferously as status reports streamed in. The main display showed the approaching hegemony fleet, sleek, predatory vessels moving in attack formation. "They've issued demands," announced Counselor Teff. "They're claiming Alpha Prime as hegemony territory and ordering immediate surrender." "This is outrageous," exclaimed Counselor Mbasso. "The hegemony has no claim to council space." "They have weapons," Counselor Vrix pointed out bitterly. "Apparently, that's all the claim they need." Zira moved to the central platform. "We must evacuate non-essential personnel immediately. Security teams will—" The station shuddered as the first impacts struck the outer shields. Warning indicators flashed across the displays. Shield capacity at 60% and falling, reported a technician. Estimated failure in 8 minutes. Where are the humans? Demanded Vrix. Their warship could actually be useful now. As if in answer, the main display shifted to show the Retribution detaching from its docking clamps. The massive vessel moved with surprising grace, positioning itself between the station and the approaching hegemony fleet. "This is Captain Alex Mercer of the Earth vessel Retribution," came the transmission. "We are moving to intercept. Ambassador Zera, please clear all Council vessels from the engagement zone." Zera quickly issued the order, and the few Council ships in the vicinity retreated behind the station. The display showed the Retribution accelerating toward the hegemony fleet, still outnumbered 18-1. "They're going to be destroyed," whispered Councillor Mbasso. "I'm not so certain," Zera replied, watching intently. The Retribution's approach seemed suicidal. It drove straight toward the center of the hegemony formation, making no evasive maneuvers. The hegemony vessels adjusted, converging to surround the Earthship. "What are they doing?" Councillor Teff wondered aloud. The answer came seconds later. Just as the hegemony ships moved into optimal firing positions, the Retribution executed a maneuver that seemed to defy physics. The massive vessel rotated on 3 axes simultaneously, while deploying what appeared to be hundreds of small objects from launch tubes along its hull. "What are those?" asked Vrix. Riles, monitoring the tactical display, replied with awe in their voice. "Autonomous combat drones. Hundreds of them." The drones swarmed through the hegemony formation with incredible speed, each one targeting specific systems on the enemy vessels. Within minutes, the hegemony fleet had gone dark, engines offline, weapon systems disabled, communications silenced. They disabled the entire fleet," Councillor Mbasso said in disbelief. "Without destroying a single vessel." The main communication channel activated, showing Captain Mercer on the Retribution's bridge. "Alpha Prime. This is Mercer. The hegemony fleet has been neutralized. No casualties on either side. We're deploying boarding teams to secure the vessels and take the crews into custody." Zera moved closer to the display. "Captain, the Council expresses its gratitude for your intervention. Your actions saved many lives today." Mercer nodded. "That was our intention, Ambassador. We've identified the hegemony flagship. Their commander, General Krevith, appears to be coordinating this operation. We'll bring him to the station for questioning once the situation is secure." 6 hours later, Zera and the Council members watched as Mercer's security team escorted a towering, reptilian figure into the chamber. General Krevith of the hegemony moved with military precision despite his restraints, his scaled face displaying contempt. "The Council recognizes General Krevith," Zera announced formally. "You have violated Council space and attempted an unprovoked attack on a diplomatic station. Explain your actions." Krevith's vertical pupils narrowed. "The hegemony recognizes no authority but its own. The Council's weakness has been apparent for decades. No weapons, no warriors, only words. You were ripe for conquest." "And yet you failed," Mercer observed, stepping forward. Krevith turned his gaze to the human. "Your species is unknown to us. Your tactics, unexpected. This changes nothing. The hegemony will return with greater numbers." "No," Mercer said simply, "you won't." He activated a holographic display, showing the hegemony vessels, now under Earth control. "Your fleet has been completely analyzed by our systems. We now understand your technology, your tactics, your capabilities. Should the hegemony attempt another attack, Earth will respond with appropriate force." "You threaten war?" Krevith demanded. "I promise consequences," Mercer corrected. "There's a difference." Zera intervened, drifting between them. "General Krevith will be detained pending full Council deliberation on this matter. Captain Mercer, the Council requests a full briefing on your defensive operation." After Krevith was removed, the Council reconvened in private session. The atmosphere had shifted dramatically from the previous days of suspicion toward Earth. They saved us, Counselor Mbasso stated plainly. Without the humans and their vessel, Alpha Prime would now be under hegemony control. Or destroyed, added Counselor Teff. Counselor Vrix, previously among the most vocal critics of Earth's approach, remained silent for a long moment before speaking. I still find their combat readiness disturbing, but I cannot deny its effectiveness today. Zira addressed the gathered representatives. The question before us is clear. How does the Council proceed with Earth's application for membership in light of recent events? The discussion lasted hours, but the outcome was unprecedented in Council history. When Captain Mercer and his officers were invited back into the chamber, Zira delivered the Council's decision. Captain Mercer, the Galactic Council extends formal recognition to Earth as a probationary member, with a unique status. In recognition of your demonstrated capabilities and your protection of Alpha Prime, Earth will serve as security coordinator for the Council, with authority to establish defense protocols for all Council facilities. Mercer's expression remained composed, but his eyes registered surprise. Ambassador, we accept this responsibility with humility and determination. Earth will work to ensure the safety of all Council members while respecting the peaceful principles that guide your governance. Our principles remain peaceful, Zira acknowledged. But perhaps our methods require adaptation. Today has shown that diplomacy, without strength, invites aggression. 6 months later, Alpha Prime Station had transformed. Earth security teams had integrated with Council personnel, implementing defensive systems that blended seamlessly with the station's elegant architecture. Training programs allowed representatives from all species to learn basic defensive techniques, though many still struggled with the concept of combat readiness. The Retribution remained stationed at Alpha Prime, joined by 2 smaller Earth vessels. Captain Mercer, now holding the additional title of Security Liaison to the Council, had become a respected figure among many representatives. Ambassador Zira found Mercer in the newly established Tactical Operations Center, reviewing patrol reports. The hegemony delegation arrives tomorrow, Zira informed him. Their new government has expressed interest in peaceful relations. Amazing how a decisive defeat can change political perspectives, Mercer observed dryly. Zira's bioluminescence rippled with what Mercer had come to recognize as amusement. Indeed, the Council has evolved as well. 3 member species have begun developing their own security vessels, under Earth guidance. Progress, Mercer said, nodding. Slow, but progress nonetheless. I must confess, Zira said. When your ship first appeared, I feared Earth would bring war to the Council. Instead, you've brought a new understanding of peace. Peace through strength, Mercer corrected gently. Earth learned through centuries of conflict that showing your capabilities openly prevents others from testing them. Hiding strength behind diplomatic niceties only invites challenge. A lesson the Council needed, perhaps. Zira acknowledged. Though many still struggle with your concept of diplomats who can fight. They'll adapt, Mercer said confidently, especially with the Arcturian situation developing. Zira's patterns shifted to concern. You've detected something? Nothing concrete yet, Mercer replied. But their recent movements suggest expansion interests. We're monitoring closely. And if monitoring becomes insufficient, Mercer smiled slightly. Then Earth's diplomats will be ready to negotiate from a position of strength. As they looked out at the stars, visible through the operations center's viewport, both contemplated the changing nature of galactic relations. The Retribution silhouette was visible against the cosmic backdrop, a symbol of the new reality. Peace maintained not through idealistic hopes, but through the certainty that aggression would meet resistance. Earth hadn't sent traditional diplomats. They'd sent warriors who understood that sometimes the most effective peace treaty was the one backed by the capability and willingness to fight. And slowly, the galaxy was learning to adapt. On the bridge of the Retribution, Lieutenant Nguyen approached Captain Mercer as he returned from the station. Sir, Intelligence Officer Riles has compiled a report on hegemony holdouts in the Outer Rim. They're requesting your input on potential diplomatic approaches. Mercer nodded. Schedule a meeting for tomorrow, and have Commander Ortiz prepare a tactical assessment. Let's show them our complete approach. Diplomatic initiatives backed by contingency operations. Diplomacy with teeth, Nguyen remarked. Exactly, Lieutenant, Mercer confirmed. The only kind that truly works in the long run. As the Retribution maintained its vigilant position beside Alpha Prime Station, the message to the galaxy was clear. Earth had arrived, and with it, a new understanding of how peace was truly maintained among the stars. The station's newly installed defense grid activated for a routine test, energy fields shimmering briefly around the diplomatic hub. Council members observing from various viewpoints had different reactions, some with lingering discomfort, others with growing appreciation. But none could deny that for the first time in centuries, the Galactic Council faced no immediate threats. Earth hadn't sent diplomats. They'd sent a dangerous ship, and in doing so, they'd brought a new kind of peace to the stars. Standing at the viewport of his quarters, Captain Mercer watched a council vessel practicing evasive maneuvers under the guidance of an Earth instructor. The awkward movements were gradually becoming more fluid, more confident. He smiled slightly, seeing in this small exercise the larger transformation taking place. We didn't come to change them, he murmured to himself. But perhaps that was always inevitable. The stars continued their eternal vigil, indifferent to the shifting politics below. But among those stars, a new understanding was taking root, that true peace wasn't the absence of strength, but its judicious application in service of something greater than conquest. Earth's dangerous ship had become the galaxy's unlikely guardian. And that, Mercer reflected, was the most diplomatic outcome of all.